Hello and a warm welcome. You're watching India Tonight with me, Jude Sanat, and my colleague Shibani Garat right here in our Mumbai studios. Shibani, it's been an action-packed day for the third straight day in a row, even as that student uprising at Jantar Mantar has really held the nation and continue to keep all of us watching even as the students have intensified their protests. In fact, a whole day after the alleged brutal crackdown on CJP protests in Delhi, Times Network journalist Dev Kotak was beaten up by a mob at the protest site. In fact, Dev said he was surrounded by protesters, assaulted and robbed of his personal belongings, including his smartphone. Now, while some protesters helped him escape, the incident has reignited concerns over the safety of journalists reporting from protest sites. The attack on Times Network journalist, of course, Dev there, who was doing his job of covering the protest, has been condemned by senior journalists, and support has been pouring in from the media fraternity.
Indeed. Now, Times Network believes reporting from the ground is not just the duty of journalists. It is a constitutionally guaranteed right flowing, from the freedom of speech and expression. Any obstruction to this, therefore, is not only illegal but needs to be deplored and criticized. The matter in which some persons choose to express their disagreement through violence can have a chilling effect on the free movement and, in fact, functioning of the journalists across India, which is not in the interest of democracy. We may differ in views, but we cannot take the law in our own hands. Before we dive into the discussion, let's take a look at what Dev said minutes after the assault.
क्या हुआ भाई आपके साथ? क्या हुआ आपके साथ?
मेरी आंख नहीं खुल रही चश्मे के कारण।
क्या हुआ था अभी जंतर मंतर पर आपके साथ?
सौरभ का इंटरव्यू करने जा रहा था, मुझे वो बुला रहा था, उसका कॉल आया, ये लोग ने गोदी मीडिया हाय हाय चिल्लाना शुरू कर दिया और एटलीस्ट अलग अलग 6 दिशा से कुछ 100 मुक्के, लाफे, पानी फेंकना, बॉटल्स फेंकना। उन्होंने चश्मा भी खींच लिया, मुझे चश्मे के कारण थोड़ा अभी दिख नहीं रहा है। मैंने बताया उनको कि चश्मे के बिना नहीं दिख रहा है, मत मारो मुँह पे, मत मारो, मुझे जाने दो, मैंने कुछ किया ही नहीं है, निकल ही जा रहा हूँ। तो उतनी देर में वो लोग ने धक्का आके गिरा दिया और फिर लात तब भी मारने लग गए।
मोबाइल वगैरह भी आपका स्नैच कर लिया?
मोबाइल, घड़ी, चश्मा सब छीन लिया। हाँ, और ये फाड़ दिया।
कंप्लेंट किया आपने इसमें?
हाँ, पार्लियामेंट स्ट्रीट पुलिस स्टेशन में एक रिटन कंप्लेंट दी है।
Well, as we dive right into that discussion, let's introduce our guest panel for the evening. We have with us GS Prashant from the BJP itself, even as Sanjeev Srivastava, senior journalist, also joins us on the bulletin, as does Syed Asad Abbas, political analyst from Bengaluru. Gentlemen, welcome to the show. Let me start with you, Sanjeev. Perhaps you could throw some context into the events that have occurred over the last few days. Sure, there has been a massive uprising like no other, involving a lot of emotive issues and featuring what can only be called the future of our nation. And yet, what we have begun seeing is a clear and present attack on journalists covering the protest. Of course, Dev there from the Times Network was one such example, but this has largely been seen across the board. What do you make of it? I understand there is an emotion attached to it. A lot of opinions have been cast to and fro about, journalists and the credibility that these media persons hold while covering these protests and also in the recent past. But surely it also calls for and asks some important questions about safety of the media, especially in times and in situations like this, you reckon?
So I think, Jude, you yourself in your introductory remarks have summed up the situation. First of all, there are no words strong enough to condemn the attack on the journalists. There's no business for any protester or anybody to rough up and physically manhandle a journalist. Like we just saw Dev, whose shirt was in tatters, his specs had gone, and even his belongings were stolen or snatched away. Very, very unfortunate. So that should be said without any hesitation or with no kind of riders attached. Having said that, but these are also the times when we are just so polarized. Everybody has such strong opinions on everything, and this whole divide in media, Godi media versus the other media. I don't know how to describe them. That has so polarized the society, and one also kind of understands, even though it is completely wrong, where the angst of protesters is coming from. Their protest was not covered, their protest was ignored largely in the earlier days. But whatever, I don't want to really get into that.
We're missing the whole point over here, which is this was supposed to be. Sorry to interrupt you, sir.
I know you are saying this was supposed to be a peaceful protest.
It was supposed to be a protest around education. It was supposed to be, peaceful protest. And now we have tear gases thrown. We have CRPF professionals, coming on ground, attacking some of these students protesting. So, who takes the onus for all of this? Who's taking the responsibility to handle this kind of protest which is happening around Jantar Mantar? Let's quickly get GS Prashant's reaction, who's a BJP spokesperson.
I'll just add one sentence. There are also about 120 odd police personnel who have been injured.
Right. Mr. Prashant.
See, firstly, this is the toolkit of the Tukde gang, who's trying to create unrest and anarchy in the country. Because if you look at the so-called protesters, are you really saying that they were really students protesting for the NEET issue? And they end up with tear gas, they have trucks full of stones to pelt at the policemen. Who is even providing them? Why will any student go behind tear gas and get stones to pelt at policemen? So these are not really student motivated or students who are into it. This is cronies of people who want to create unrest in the country, because any issue concerning the students, Bharatiya Janata Party, especially the top leadership, has taken it with very serious intent, and steps have been taken. And even the Parliamentary Affairs Minister...
Sir, sorry to interrupt you again, sir. The cronies joined, as you call them cronies, they joined in much later. Till last week, it was a peaceful protest. Till that forceful, taking of Sonam Wangchuk happened and shifting him to AIMS happened. It was supposed to be a peaceful protest. So all the so-called Tukde gang is what you're saying, joined in much later.
Let me answer that. Once, as a ruling government, you're supposed to follow the directive of the High Court. Once High Court gave a direction that Sonam Wangchuk had to be administered medicine or taken care of, because right to life and liberty and right to life is very important, which is guaranteed in the Constitution. Following the court orders, if Sonam Wangchuk was taken away, how can you say that somebody was Muslim democratic protest? It is not definitely happening like that. So therefore, to say that as the ruling government, somebody has muzzled the protest, definitely not. To the extent that they were protesting in a free and fair manner, no outrage happened. Nobody really, the situation did not result in any tense moments. But the moment these cronies entered and this Tukde gang entered, we have seen what has happened. Are you trying to tarnish the future of the students here by engaging them or inciting them to have this mob behavior? And what has happened to the journalists? Poor Dev. Look at how he has been assaulted. And if you're calling that students have really done this, I don't think anybody who would call himself a student would indulge in this violent behavior at all. So therefore, this, in the guise of students, you look at from where the issue started. If it is only regarding NEET issue, why is Azad Kashmir coming in? Why is Article 370 coming in? Why are Hindu gods being insulted there? What is the agenda? If this was NEET issue, stick to that. And in fact, the top leadership, including JP Nadda, had spoken to them, assured them that steps should be taken, and also the Parliamentary Affairs Minister
Mr. Prashant. Mr. Prashant, I actually intend to continue this conversation with you on these issues that you are raising, because they definitely do deserve some level of discourse, and we will get into that. But let me quickly get Syed Abbas into the discussion, since he's, of course, a third guest. You just heard the discourse that was going on right now, Syed. This, for want of a better term, this really seems straight out of the BJP's playbook. Sure, there were a month and a half of peaceful protests since the 6th of June, if my timelines serve me right. And yet what you're seeing right now is you saw a lot of ignoring happening for the first 1.5 months. It picked up steam after Mr. Wangchuk's indefinite fast. And after things went slightly out of hand owing to that action of forcibly moving Mr. Wangchuk, what you are seeing right now is a narrative that is built on discrediting the protesters, talking about the involvement of outside elements. And it almost seems as if the center or the establishment is doing all it can to make this a credibility issue versus actually discussing the issue at hand, which was the fact that the students felt unjustly done by and wanted the man in power to simply resign. Is this a rather sad fallout of what ought to have been a rather simple issue concerning demands and what the center was to do about it, Mr. Abbas?
Jude, I've always believed with great power, there's great responsibility and equal accountability. Let me hold myself accountable here and tell you I absolutely condemn what happened with Dave Kotak, which is absolutely unfortunate. Absolutely nobody should go through something like this. I am myself a student of journalism, done my bachelor's in journalism and mass communication. And what's happening with my fellow colleague is absolutely wrong. Along with Dave Kotak, let me also condemn the brutality of the police against Samdesh Bhatia, my friend Samdesh Bhatia of Unfiltered, my dear friend Nivesh of Lalan Top, and several other stringers and small media YouTube journalists who were hit by the police, which is absolutely wrong. Let me also make one point very clear. Hundreds of students, hundreds of videos, I know it could also go in many more numbers, were hit by lathis with needles. I saw nails on those lathis, which is absolutely unfortunate. Many of their heads were broken down. There is one girl who is battling for her life. Her carotid artery has burst out and she's battling for her life. She's in intensive care unit. Who is going to be answerable for it? What are the students asking? Very simple. The man responsible for 20 suicides, the man in power, the man who must be held accountable, Dharmendra Pradhan, must resign. What is the arrogance of the Modi government that they cannot take down this man who's failed as an education minister to resign? To protect their ghaman, their ahankar, they are leading all these students to misery. As much the Bharatiya Janata Party wants to bring in their narrative that Congress is involved, Aam Aadmi Party is involved, or left party, not so be it. We don't care about that. But what about all those students who are on ground? The innocent students who are crying today. The innocent students whose head have been hit and are into splits and blood. They've got fractures. Sir, I did not interrupt. This is not how I debate, sir. Jude, can you allow this? Can you please ask him to keep quiet? This is not how you debate, sir.
Just wait for your turn. Let Mr. Abbas answer.
Can I complete my point, please?
Thank you. Mr. Abbas will take all of 10 seconds more, I'm sure. Let him finish, Mr. Prashant, and we'll come over to you next.
The larger point I'm trying to make here. The larger point I'm trying to make here, this is very unfortunate. Sir, can I be allowed to finish my point?
1 minute, Mr. Prashant. 1 minute, sir. 1 minute. One minute, Mr. Prashant. 1 minute, sir. Just a minute. Please bear with us. Syed, okay. Can you wrap up, Syed, please? Let's move on.
Yes, absolutely. 20 seconds I shall wrap up, Jude. Jude, the larger point I'm making here is a very simple one. The fact, why can't the Modi government, Vishwaguru government, address to what the students are saying? Let's not talk about Rahul Gandhi, Arvind Kejriwal, or any of these political parties today. Let us talk about only the students who are suffering today. There are many of the victims' parents who have come for this protest. Many of the students who have traveled length and breadth of our beautiful country to be there. What about the genuine? We are not talking about all those mischief mongers. Put them behind bars, investigate against them. They belong to jail. But what about those innocent students who've also got hit by the lathi, tear gas against them, pellet guns against them? What about all those genuine students? So therefore, all I'm requesting is through the medium of Economic Times now is that the Modi government today needs to hear the students on ground.
Absolutely. The government needs to hear the students. And at this point in time, I would like Mr. G.S. Prashant to, continue with his point. The buck stops with the government. And what is happening currently in Delhi is capital chaos. So where will it stop?
Firstly, all steps that ought to have been taken when the NEET issue, unfortunate NEET issue of paper leak happened, was taken and re-exam was ordered. In fact, the education minister himself was in the main center monitoring across what is happening. And also students who required medical assistance, students who are on ventilators also were provided medical assistance to write exams. And let me also bring out on record, between 2004 and 2014, when the UPA was in power, the number of paper leaks that happened, and tell me one education minister or one minister or one leader from Congress who even stood up for them. Let me tell you, in Jammu Kashmir,
Reason why you're in power, no? Sir, now the BJP is in power.
No, are you saying that Congress can escape accountability by
They
saying
have
that?
not.
No, we voted a better government in power.
Therefore,
We
so therefore,
believe the BJP would
talk
be a
facts.
better government, which is why
Let's talk
2014
facts.
happened,
Congress
Mr. Prashant.
and its leaders, Congress and its leaders and its crony supporters here are making out as if Dharmendra Pradhanji, the education minister, is responsible for every malpractice done by the lecturers or whoever were caught in that. Investigation is on. The people responsible for leaking the paper, the investigation is on, and whoever was responsible at that point in time, they were also sacked. So therefore, the investigation will go on. And the Parliamentary Affairs Minister has assured the nation
As a ministry, isn't it the ministry's responsibility to conduct fair examinations, sir? Ours is a country where a lot depends on our education system. We are told not to engage in sports, not to do any co-curricular activities, but study hard. Acha padhoge to aage badhoge is what we are told as children from our childhood.
So I think you need to update your knowledge on what the government is doing for sports. Right from Khelo India, how it is envisioned.
It's not about what the government is doing for sports. Education is the backbone.
Sports is being ignored by this government. If past governments have done it, this government has ensured that even sports forms an active part of the curriculum and sportsmen are given their due. So therefore, you don't now muzzle the agenda saying that you have been taught. If you were taught something, it was wrong. Probably you studied in a generation where Congress was in power. So therefore, you can't really help it. Even I studied when Congress was in power. We know what we went through. So therefore, let's come to the moot point of if any student is behind this, please tell me which student will have access to stones to pelt that policeman? Who is even providing them those things? Why is this happening? Are they really students who are really going behind and attacking? And who gave them
Mr. Prashant, if I may. And I'd like to bring Sanjeev back into this conversation at this point before I come to you, Syed. Now, Sanjeev, this seems like a tried and tested and a strategy that has perhaps worked from a political standpoint. The fact is that the BJP rather continues to question the credibility.
Say what I have to say.
Absolutely. No, before that, a quick question. It's a familiar playbook, right? It's whataboutery. It's about what happened in 2004, 2014. Forget the fact that it's been 12 years of the BJP being in power. And surely Shibani's point was that the fact is the country is built on education, which is the backbone. It's not about whether sports is being ignored or not. Absolutely. But surely the buck stops, you'd agree, at the BJP's door. Do you feel they will be brazening this out yet again, as they did with multiple protests in recent times? Sanjeev.
So, it's very... So first of all, Mr. Prashant, the BJP spokesperson, is so young in comparison to me. I've already crossed my mid-60s. I think one problem with BJP is that at a time when they should be showing much more humility and grace, I don't think it is a time to be combative and aggressive. So that is certainly not going to help the BJP. Yes, he is right. There may be a lot of mischievous elements, a lot of anti-social elements. It is also very much in the realms of possibility. There are a lot of politics and now come into play in this agitation. But the fact of the matter is that this government did not make any outreach to the agitators till the time they already kind of missed the bus. The agitation went out of hands. See, Sonam Wangchuk was sitting there for 3 weeks or more, and he was earlier jailed for a few months. And suddenly now 2 ministers are landing up at the hospital, and today he has released a letter also. So why let this all happen? The problem again is that this government is very good at handling what is a political situation. if there is a government to be made, if elections are to be won, if the party has to be whatever, imploded, exploded, broken, majority secured. The government is just, they have no parallel. Nobody can match them. But if this thing is turning out like the farmers' agitation, with a real ground popular agitation, this government suddenly finds itself out of depth, largely because they don't have the humility to reach out to people. And that I don't want to use the word arrogance, because everybody in power is arrogant, this or the earlier ones. But imagine how Congress ministers used to resign in the drop of a hat, virtually. And that proved to be their undoing in some. And so the BJP picked up the wrong leaf, that come what may, none of our ministers will ever resign. They said that in 2014 only, not now or day before yesterday. So the thing is that when you deal with such agitations, you have to be much more polite, humble, vinamra, as they say in Hindi. You can't come across as aggressive people, because you're dealing with real students.
Right.
Maybe there are some 20% is all nonsense and a lot of people are doing politics. But you have to be sensitive to people's needs, aspirations.
Right.
And talk like that.
Right.
And that, I think, is the BJP's biggest shortcoming right now.
Right.
They're
Sanjeev,
trying to make up for it.
Brilliant analysis. Thank you so much for breaking down that approach.
Yesterday, they are trying to reach out.
Yes.
But it's already a little late, and now the situation is very delicately poised.
Absolutely.
We really
like
don't know which way the wind is going to blow from here
to
on.
a ship that may have already sailed.
Mr. Abbas wants to add a point over
yes,
here.
let me get Mr. Abbas in on this. Yeah. What do you expect going forward, Syed? The fact is, like Sanjeev was saying, the ship may have already sailed before the BJP decides to possibly make that, olive branch work and do its outreach. Do you feel that could well still happen, or do you feel the government might continue brazing this out?
Let us
what is your take,
understand.
Syed?
I have seen a number of videos. I'm sure all of us, all of us have seen enough number of videos from the protest. The fact of the matter is very simple. Be it Congress, BJP, or any party, accountability must be there. The students do not have anything personally against Dharmendra Pradhan. In place of Dharmendra Pradhan, it could be Nirmala Sitharaman ji, Hardeep Singh Puri ji, or any minister of the BJP government. The fact is, whosoever is in the place as an education minister, unfortunately, you failed the students. So therefore, accountability comes in, resignation comes in. Also, when it comes to a Congress, Congress is not in government today for a reason. The people didn't vote for them for a reason. I'd like to tell my BJP friend on the panel the same thing. 12 years you are in power, sir. So therefore the people, the media will question you. And if you are in power, you need to do your job well. Also, as a matter of fact, let us understand that the way forward, absolutely, Jude Saab, I agree with you. The way forward I'm looking at as a youth of this country is a peaceful one. I do not want to see any of the police brutality coming through, any of my journalist friends being hit at. Absolutely no. Peaceful is the way to go. I'm looking forward to reach out of sorts where everything is solved amicably. The person who is in power today needs to understand power is not forever. One or the other day he has to go. So therefore, he needs to understand, for the betterment of the students, the future of this country, you need to go.
Mr. Abbas.
As simple as that.
Right. Due to paucity of time, we'll have to conclude this conversation. Thank you, Mr. Prashant, of course, Sanjeev Srivastava and Syed Asad Abbas. Thank you so much for joining us today on ET Now. Well, on that note, it is time for us to slip into a very short break. You don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.